I was supposed to be done an hour ago. The storm had rolled in faster than expected, swallowing the roads in thick sheets of white. My snowplow was the last one running east of Aspen. Every other rig had shut down, but rent was due in 5 days, and Zoe wanted boots for Christmas. So I kept driving. Past midnight, the wind cut sideways like razors, and my windshield wipers were working on pure hope. Then, just past mile marker 67, I saw it. Headlights, still, crooked, pointing into a snowbank. I slowed the plow and pulled over, crunching ice under the tires. The SUV was high-end, black, tinted, not a scratch on the outside, except it was half-buried, engine steaming. I climbed out, boots sinking ankle-deep. No movement inside. I tapped the window. Nothing. I yanked the driver's door open, frozen stiff. That's when I saw her. Young. Late 20s. Designer coat soaked in blood at the collar. Her eyes barely open. She tried to speak but only gasped. I didn't ask questions. I just pulled her out, wrapped her in the emergency blanket from my truck, and got her into the cab. She was freezing, shaking. Her skin looked like cracked porcelain. Back at the cabin, Zoe ran to grab towels, a heater, anything. I barely managed to start the fire. The woman passed out before she could say her name. But just before she lost consciousness, she whispered one word, barely audible. Vale. I didn't think much of it, until Zoe looked up from her laptop an hour later and said, "Dad, that's Harper Vale." I blinked. Who? Zoe turned the screen. Missing person alert. Harper Vale, billionaire heiress, $11.2 billion fortune. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just trying to survive the storm. I just pulled America's most wanted woman into my home. I hadn't even finished bandaging her head when the power cut out. No warning. Just darkness. Then the fire's glow flickered like it was thinking twice. Zoe held the flashlight steady while I rewired the backup generator. I kept glancing at the woman on our couch. Half-conscious, feverish, wrapped in old quilts. She looked nothing like a billionaire. She looked a human. When the lights came back, my laptop lit up with a dozen news alerts. Missing, Harper Vale, 28, presumed kidnapped. Last seen boarding a private plane en route to New York. Foul play suspected. No contact in 48 hours. $5M reward for credible information. My jaw clenched. I looked over at her again. She stirred, eyes fluttering open for just a second. I asked, "Is your name Harper?" She blinked slowly, then whispered, "Don't tell them I'm here." Them? Who the hell was them? I turned to Zoe. She looked scared, but calm, too calm for 9. "She's famous, right?" she asked. "Are we gonna get in trouble?" I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know the answer myself. Do we call the cops? What if she's telling the truth? What if she's not? I picked up my phone to call 911. No signal. Harper's hand reached out weakly and grabbed my wrist. "No police. Please. If they find me now, they'll kill me." I froze. Her voice was shaking. Not from the cold, but from something else. Something deeper. Something real. And then she passed out again. I sat back in the chair, heart pounding. Outside, the wind howled louder. Inside, my daughter stared at me, waiting for an answer. And I realized I wasn't holding a stranger anymore. I was holding the storm itself. She woke up screaming. I rushed in from the kitchen, nearly dropping the bowl of broth I'd been heating. Harper sat up, eyes wide, chest heaving, like she'd surfaced from drowning. "It's okay," I said. "You're safe." She blinked at the room, disoriented, then grabbed the edge of the couch like it might disappear. "Where am I?" "My cabin," I said. "Near Aspen. I found you in a wreck off the highway." She looked down, saw the bandages on her hands. "The car. Did anyone follow me?" I paused. "No, just you. And the storm." Her eyes locked with mine. Cold. Controlled. But there was panic hiding behind all that polish. You don't know who I am? I nodded slowly. My daughter does. She showed me the news. She exhaled, like she'd been bracing for something worse. Then, flatly, if anyone knows I'm alive, they'll try again. Who? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, legs shaking, and limped toward the window. She stared at the whiteout swallowing the pines. They tried to reroute my jet. I jumped before landing. I wasn't supposed to make it out. You think someone's trying to kill you? She looked at me for a long time. I know they are. Then she pulled off her bracelet, a sleek designer band, and handed it to me. Inside, tucked beneath a false lining, was a tiny USB drive. This, she said, is why they're after me. Everything I found is on here. Before I could ask anything else, Zoe yelled from the other room. Dad, there's a black car outside. I dropped the drive into my pocket and stepped to the door. And right then I knew this wasn't about protecting Harper anymore. Now, I was part of it. I stepped out onto the porch with a baseball bat in one hand and a flashlight in the other. Snow still fell in slow sheets, but the storm was easing. The black car was gone. No tire marks. No footprints. Just silence. Too silent. Harper stood behind me, wrapped in Zoe's old hoodie, watching the tree line like it was breathing. That was them, she said softly. You're sure? They don't knock. We searched the perimeter. I checked the trail cams I'd set up for bears last fall. One was ripped clean off the tree. Another was fried, wires blackened like they'd been surged. They're jamming the signal, Harper said. They've done it before. We went back inside. I grabbed the USB she'd hidden in the bracelet and slid it into my offline laptop. Nothing. Folder names, timestamps, all encrypted. Harper sat down slowly, pressing her palms against her forehead. I need the passkey, she whispered. I looked at her. You don't know it? She shook her head. It was linked to the bracelet. Biometric ID. Without that, she stopped. I stared at her wrist. Empty. You said you hid the drive in the bracelet. I did. Then where's the bracelet now? She looked up at me, realization hitting her like a truck. Her voice dropped. I lost it. At the crash site. For the first time, she looked scared. Not the high society composed kind, but real fear. That bracelet is everything, she whispered. Without it, I'm just another tabloid. I stared out the frosted window. That crash site was 12 miles back. And if someone else found it first, it wouldn't be Harper's secrets they'd bury. It'd be all three of us. I left just before dawn. Told Zoe to lock the doors. Harper watched me like she wanted to say something, but didn't. The snow had slowed, but the cold was a different beast now. The kind that seeped into your bones and whispered, "You shouldn't be out here." I followed the route back to the crash site, tires crunching, windshield fogging. The SUV was still there, now fully iced over, like it had fossilized overnight. I parked the truck, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped into the frozen quiet. No tracks, but someone had been here since me. The driver's side door was slightly open, not how I left it. Inside, the glove box was torn open, papers everywhere. Whoever it was, they were looking for something. I dropped to my knees and started digging through the snow around the crash. 10 minutes, 15. Then I felt it. Something hard. I pulled it out. The bracelet, still intact, scratched, cold. I turned it over in my gloved hands. The lining was missing. The USB was gone. That's when I noticed it. Footprints, leading away from the wreck, toward the woods. Not fresh, but not old either. And they weren't mine. I followed them for about 30 yards, until they disappeared into a thick wall of pine. But just before they vanished, I found something stuck to a branch. A ripped piece of paper, dry despite the snow. Written in shaky pen. The vault was never shut down. She doesn't know. Meet me where the rivers cross. Midnight. Come alone. I folded the note and shoved it into my coat. This wasn't just about her secrets anymore. Someone out there knew more than she did, and they were already one step ahead. I returned to the cabin just before dark. Harper was pacing, eyes bloodshot, one hand pressed against the window like she expected it to shatter. I dropped the bracelet on the table. She froze. "Where's the drive?" she asked. "Gone," I said. "Someone got there first." She walked over slowly, picked it up like it was made of glass. Then calmly, "They know where we are." I stepped back. "Who's they, Harper?" "Because I found this too." I slid the torn paper across the table, the one from the woods. Her eyes locked on the words, and for the first time since I met her, she looked scared. She sat down hard. "They weren't supposed to find me," she whispered. "Not this fast." I pressed. "Who's they? And what vault are they talking about?" Silence. Then she looked up at me. I wasn't just going to leak corporate files. I was going to expose a project my father inherited. Something buried before I was born. "Which is?" "Vault Echo." She said it like it hurt. "A Cold War shadow network. Data banks, surveillance nodes, psychological tests on U.S. civilians. My family funded the software. Others funded the silence." I didn't speak, just walked to the bookshelf, pulled out my wife's old laptop, the one I hadn't touched since the accident. I opened a hidden folder, found an unsent draft email from 6 years ago, addressed to h.vale@privategate.io. Subject line: Vault Echo Files Warning. I stared at Harper. "You knew her." She blinked. "I tried to stop them." I clenched the edge of the table, fists white. "She died because of this," Harper whispered. "She died because she trusted the wrong people. And I might be one of them." I sat on the porch that night, staring into the storm-washed dark, the torn note still folded in my hand. Harper stepped out quietly, wrapped in Zoe's blanket. She didn't speak, just sat beside me, like she knew words wouldn't do much now. "You're not the first person I've pulled out of a wreck," I said finally. She looked over, confused. I told her about that night 6 years ago. The crash, the smoke, how I found Zoe screaming in the back seat, and how her mother, Ava, never even made it to the hospital. What I'd never told anyone, she'd been scared before it happened, checking her mirrors, hiding a flash drive I never found, and whispering names in her sleep. One of them was Harper. Harper wiped her face. We were in the same unit at Valetech. She was better than me, smarter, braver. She didn't want money. She just wanted the truth to matter. "She told me she was quitting," I said. "Wanted to go off-grid. Start over." "She tried," Harper said. "But they found her. Just like they found me." I handed her the old laptop. We opened Ava's archived folder, buried under layers of encryption. Inside, photos of underground servers, emails connecting Harper's father to military black sites, and one chilling voice memo. "If anything happens to me, they'll tell you it was an accident. Don't believe them. The vault isn't a place. It's a person." We sat there silent. Then Harper whispered, "It's Zoe, isn't it? That's why they're watching you now." It was never about me. It was her. I didn't hear the front door open. I just heard Harper whisper behind me, "She's gone." I shot to my feet. Zoe's bed was empty, her jacket missing. The back door cracked open. On the porch rail, taped in plastic, was a note. "You want her back? Bring the girl's blood. And the drive. Come alone. Midnight. Cross Point Bridge." My hands shook. I gripped the doorframe so hard I thought I'd splinter it. Harper stood in the hallway, pale. "They know," she said. "They figured it out faster than we did." "Zoe's just a kid," I said. "She doesn't even know. She's her mother's daughter. That's enough for them." I looked around the cabin. Our quiet life. The firewood. The photos. Then I looked at the laptop, the drive still glowing faintly from its port. Inside it, encrypted genetic mapping, legacy files, code fragments linked to Project Echo Subject Z. Z for Zoe. They didn't want the data. They wanted what the data led to. I grabbed my snowcoat and loaded the old rifle I hadn't touched since the army. I'm going. Harper stepped in front of me. You'll die if you go alone. Then so be it. I stepped outside and paused, one boot in the snow. She followed me, voice shaking. There's one thing you don't know. I turned. She held up her phone. A voice memo from Ava I'd never heard before. If they take Zoe, tell Noah this. She's the last clean carrier. The others are dead. She's not just our daughter. She's the future. I didn't blink. I just said, then I guess the future needs her father. And I walked into the night. Crosspoint Bridge was as dead as the sky above it. No lights, no cameras, just snow and silence stretching in all directions. Except the black SUV in the center. Engine humming, windows tinted, and Zoe, tied in the back seat. I could barely breathe. Harper's voice echoed in my head. They don't want a hostage swap. They want a disposal. I walked slow, rifle strapped, USB drive in a sealed pouch. The moment I stepped onto the bridge, the SUV's doors opened. 3 men stepped out, military-cut hair, unmarked jackets, the kind of men who'd been doing this long before it became illegal. One of them held a syringe. You brought the drive? He asked. I held it up. And her blood. I paused, reached into my coat, and threw a small glass vial across the snow. He picked it up, smiled coldly. You're a smart man, Mr. Briggs. Pity you never learned when to walk away. He raised his hand. But before the sniper could pull the trigger from the far end of the bridge, boom! An EMP burst from Harper's drone, launched from the ridge above. Power down. Comms dead. SUV doors popped. Panic. I charged. 2 shots fired, 1 missed, 1 grazed my shoulder. I tackled the man with the syringe and knocked him over the rail. Another tried to grab Zoe, but Harper was already there, bolt cutters in hand. Go, go, go! She screamed. We ran. Through snow. Through blood. Through everything that had tried to kill us. By morning, the files were live. Major news outlets. Congressional subpoenas. Project Vault Echo exposed. Arrests. Trials. Whistleblowers saved. Zoe safe. Harper gone. Just a note left on my porch. I burned the past. But she gave me a reason to believe in the future. Thank you for not letting go. 3 months later, the snow melted. Our cabin didn't look like the same place anymore. Not because of the paint or the roof repairs, but because the fear was gone. The air felt light. Zoe laughed again. She helped me rebuild the porch swing. Same spot where I once sat wondering if I'd ever see her grow up. Now, she reads here every evening, sipping hot cocoa, drawing stories about heroes with no capes, just flannel jackets and snow boots. I never got Harper's real goodbye, just that note, and a package. Inside, a burner phone, a keycard, and a new file labeled Vault Echo, Node 02, Status, Dormant. There was no return address, but the keycard was for a location I recognized. An abandoned military outpost just outside Missoula, Montana. I haven't used it. Not yet. Some days I think I should bury it in the woods. Let the secrets stay buried. Let Zoe be just a kid. But other nights, I hear Ava's voice in my head. If not us, then who? So I kept the card. Taped it under the floorboard. Right beneath our dinner table. Because I don't know when the storm will come back. But if it does, this time we'll be ready. One morning, while packing Zoe's lunch, she looked up and asked, Dad, when I grow up, can I be a truth teller like Mom? I smiled. You already are. She nodded, serious. then handed me a folded page, her latest story. Title: The Girl Who Saved the World from a Snowstorm. And at the bottom, to Dad, for finding me, for believing her, for staying. I didn't need any medals. I already had the only one that mattered.